this week with some Darius Garland hypothetical trades. We're going to end this week with a Darius Garland trade conundrum. I want to ask you guys your opinion on this. What do you think raises the Cavs' championship ceiling more? Darius Garland returning to his all-star form, or the Cavs trading Darius and turning Darius into 2 role players and a draft pick? And so 2 role players and a rookie, or Darius returning to all-star form. Which one gets them closer to being a true legit championship contender? G. Bush, let's start with you.
Trade.
Dang.
Wow.
ASAP.
God, dog.
Listen,
Did you even think about the question?
No, I have to. If you look at the climate of what we're doing right now, if Darius Garland gets 3 more points a game, couple more assists, that puts him at, 24 or something, couple assists.
Talking about after when he was All-Star?
Yeah.
I think he was averaging 22 and 9.
Okay, 22 and 9. It's the makeup, man. It's the makeup. 22 points is 4 more points, couple more assists a game, maybe 2.5 assists a game. It's not the fact that it is total output. It's what you're up against. Sometimes you just up against a different type of animal and different type of the way people were built on other teams that it don't help you. You could come along at a certain point in time and it don't work out for you. He way too smallish. Way too smallish.
Definitely need to hit the weights.
No, he need to gain 4 more inches and get 20 more pounds. That's not happening. I'm watching what the Celtics is doing. Listen, Drew Holiday was just bullying him. Look at him, just pushing him off the ball. Just that ain't going to just stop. And once again, I keep talking to people Porzingis is 7'9" or something. And when we talked about, hey, can we get Porzingis? No, we don't want him. Now we doing the same thing.
Who said that?
All last year, we don't want Porzingis. We don't know.
You ain't asked me because I wouldn't have told you
They doing the same thing. I heard people say they don't like Kyle Kuzma. They don't like Brandon Ingram. Y'all need to stop it. You need to quit it. I'll take either one of those dudes over Darius Garland. And I'm not knocking his game. I'm just saying, looking at the Boston Celtics where everybody is 6'9", and we're trotting out 6'2", 6'2", and 6'4.5".
You giving them more credit. They 6'1" a piece.
I'm just right. You got and I'm stupid. I'm sorry. I should have called this out earlier. How you got your start lineup is 6'2", 6'2", 6'5"?
No, 6'1", 6'1".
Okay, 6'1".
It's even worse.
It's even worse.
And Drew saying 6'5".
Look, that's a high school. My backcourt in high school was bigger than that. I got a high school backcourt. Jawad Williams, for God's sake. St. Ed's pride and joy. I'll take him and Steve Logan over these guys. Give me him and Steve Logan.
You're lying to yourself. First of all,
Steve can't go to his lab.
Shout out to Steve. Shout out to Steve Logan. You know what I'm saying? Shout out.
Steve's probably watching the show, eating his cereal. Yeah, how am I getting pulled into this?
G. Bush crazy.
It's been a lot of times on this show we randomly threw somebody's name out there that's probably sitting there wait a minute.
Come on, man. That's small.
Tyvis, you're giving a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
Would you take All-Star Darius and say, let's run this thing back?
I would take All-Star Darius. Listen,
run it back.
First of all, this is the problem. The problem is y'all are so messed up from last season that y'all just can't remember
2 seasons
how good Darius was.
Not last season. 2 seasons. We're still.
He wasn't bad 2 years ago.
I'm just saying 2 years.
He wasn't as good as he was when he was.
Wasn't that the first year they was trying to work things out?
That was
yeah, it was.
To me, it still looks like they're trying to work things out.
First of all, listen. This is what I'll say. I will say that if you're going to do something in this day and age, very seldomly is one superstar going to win the whole thing. It's just not going to happen.
Not
so
anymore.
if you're trading him for role players, they're not superstars. So if Donovan's not having a good game, it's a wrap because the role players are not going to win you 4 games. They might win you 1. They're not going to win you 4 games. You need that other superstar to take the weight off of the other super. They got to balance each other. The last superstar team that had just one guy, I guess you could say if you're not counting Jamal Murray, you can count the Nuggets. Kawhi did it with the Toronto. Giannis kind of did it with the Bucks. And Dirk did it with Matt. That's about 14.
That's like the last 3 champions.
No, it's not. Stop it.
The Bucks, the Nuggets,
the
Raptors.
Jamal Murray is considered an all-star, right? A superstar?
No, he's not no superstar.
Is he an all-star?
He's an all-star.
Okay. But you getting rid of this guy for a role player that's not an all-star.
Did you see Darius when Donovan wasn't playing against the Celtics, I saw 12s and 13s. And I'm not talking about shoe sizes.
The Cavs won a game.
Yeah.
The Mavs ain't about to do nothing.
They won that game when who was playing?
Who?
Donovan
wasn't playing in that series, did he?
When Donovan
was playing when they beat the Celtics.
They beat the Celtics.
Yeah,
yes.
he only missed the last game of the series. Allen was not.
Anyway, it wouldn't have happened without Darius. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't fathom trying to go into the championship with just role players. Because don't get me wrong, Donovan had this streak of the season when Darius and Evan was out, and they ended up winning all those 12 in a row, or whatever the case may be. But I still think in dire times, when you go up against these better teams, you have to have somebody. And Darius shoots the ball really well. He even shot it well in the playoffs. He just didn't take enough shots. If he gets back to taking care of the basketball, that's the biggest thing that
his
he was
turnovers were
His turnovers
real
was
problem.
terrible. If he gets back to taking
inopportune times.
Yeah, he does. If he takes care of the basketball, if he would have just did that, he would have been better. But if he gets back to 22 points a game and he hits those threes, because that's one thing about Darius. Once he starts hitting them threes, he could take over an entire night with just hitting threes. Will you agree with that?
I'll agree with that. He can get hot, but I haven't seen it in a couple years. May 7th against the Celtics, 14 points. May 9th against the Celtics, 14 points. May 11th versus the Celtics, 15 points. He had an explosion of 30, and then he went back in a closeout game to 11 whopping points, 4 of 17.
And that was with no Donovan Mitchell on the floor.
No Donovan Mitchell. I suppose that for what I'm saying is, we talk about role players. I think Darius Garland is a role player.
Last year was a down year.
It's tough because
it was a down year.
Mike, you can't. When you move his contract, you're going to have to take someone back of that. I mean, his contract it's almost unmovable.
I mean, it's not unmovable. That's why I mentioned 2 role players, because you have to match salaries. The one thing, and I'll hear both sides of the argument, and I'm curious where you land, Jay.
All right.
If you watch the end of Game 3 of the Finals when Luka fouled out,
yeah,
and Boston is the perfect example. Boston has built a team. Now they're the best version of this, where all their playmakers are 6'4", 6'5", 6'8", 6'9", and 7'3". That is the supersized Jumbotron dream scenario for that. But what makes Boston so dangerous offensively is all 5 guys on the court, if Porzingis is healthy, 4 guys if it's Horford, can all create shots for themselves, which means you have to guard guys one-on-one. When Luka went out for Dallas, it was just Kyrie at the end of the game.
That's it.
And Boston was able to hone in on Kyrie and make him take these super difficult shots, which he's capable of making because he's a magician.
But not consistently.
Yeah. And my fear is if you trade Darius for 2 role players, a Cam Johnson and a Dorian Finney-Smith or something, you are putting so much pressure on Donovan in crunch time. Not during the regular season, not in the first 44 minutes of a playoff game, but in the last 4 minutes when it's nut crunching time. Can Donovan create good look after good look after good look after good look when he's the only true shot creator on the floor? And I don't know the answer if he can.
I don't either, but we always say, like, when do we have enough hay in the barn that we can say that Evan Mobley is not going to be the unicorn? Like, well, we need to see more. Do we? Like, at what point? Because there were those that wanted to bring JB back for this year that said, we need to see more. Bring him back. Let's see what he can do. Well, I was dead set against that. And on that Sunday afternoon in L.A., when they blew a 25-point third-quarter lead to the Clippers, and they were doing nothing defensively to stop Paul George from looking like a young Michael Jordan, in that moment I said, that's what you get when you decide to run it back. We knew what this looked like. We saw it last year. So I don't want to be in April of 2025 watching Garland turn it over close and late, watching him not create his own offense. You talk about, like, who else is going to do it. I didn't see Garland do it in the Celtics series.
All-star Garland. And that's why the question is if the choice is between all-star Garland, who could. Last year he was bad. There is no other way to phrase last. It was a bad season.
So here's what I'm trying to answer in my mind.
Yep.
Is it bad because the fit is bad, or is it bad because he broke his jaw, he couldn't eat solid food, he lost a lot of weight, he missed a lot of time, and it just was one of those seasons that you write off as an anomaly? What's the answer?
I lean towards the latter because not only the jaw did affect him. He lost
Clearly.
12 pounds. He was undersized for an already undersized guard to begin with. And When he came back, as you guys remember, that's when the referees stopped calling fouls.
I know
the
they
NBA got
did.
way more physical, and it was the worst possible time. And it sounds like I'm making excuses for Garland. I'm just
No,
being,
but what you just said is
I'm,
true.
I'm just being honest. Like,
No,
and he
it
was
sure
scared.
does.
Gee, one sec. He was scared to get in the paint. He was scared of contact. It was easier to guard him because teams knew he wasn't trying to blow by them. It took away his playmaking because it's really hard to be a playmaker if you're just standing on the three-point line.
So if you take
I'm willing to
him,
give him a quasi-pass for how bad last season was because of the circumstances. Just like when DeQuell came on our show and said JOK's not a linebacker. Like, JOK went through a lot of shit that season, too. He
Right.
lost someone in his family, and
Yep.
we saw what happened last year. Bounced back, should have been an all-pro in my mind. I'm hoping Darius could have that same kind of redemption this coming season.
so you're keep him, run it back.
Not the bigs, but I would run it back with Garland.
Okay, so I know this conversation was not taking into account Allen.
Yeah,
and
I don't
Mobley.
think Allen and Mobley work. I still have belief that Mitchell and Garland can work.
Listen. I'm baffled. I go back and look. I go back and look at 2021. Like, if you look at it, his numbers ain't even better than Colin Sexton's numbers. What happened is we just picked. We said we like Colin. We like you better than Colin. We're gonna make you our guy. He made an all-star team. See, there's a certain thing to be said that you could be good on a team with no expectations,
And somebody's got to get the point.
and somebody got to score. They had Andre Drummond back then. Like, let's be clear. Like,
Andre Drummond was with Darius on that
yes,
team?
yes.
No, Jarrett Allen been here at that time.
Andre Drummond was on this squad.
No,
the
I don't think
reality,
he was.
the reality of it is, look, Darius Garland is a nice player, but let me just ask you a question, and this is devastating, and I challenge anybody to answer it. Get in the chat and let me know if they ran it back for 3 straight years, 3 in a row, and Mobley gets to be an all-star. They still don't have enough. You're not beating Denver. You're not beating the Timberwolves.
So I'll push back on that. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Boston is a team that has stuck together for a number of years. They've progressively gotten better. Now, they had some famous missteps. Last year, they lost to an 8. But to me, in watching Boston clearly dominate everybody, what I'm saying to that, G, is, well, this is one of those cases where patience pays off. They kept putting them out there together. They figured more and more out every year. They brought in a new voice as a coach. They brought in actually 2 new voices. And they've learned, and now they're at the top of the mountain. Can that be the Cavs 3 years from now? Mike?
Talk to him, Nuggets.
To push back against the Celtics, I think they're where they are now because of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, which were 2 off-season moves.
Huge acquisitions, but
and
the core
difference
of their team, though, Mike.
Yeah. No, Tatum and Brown. That's
it.
So for sure. The difference is I don't know how the Cavs bring in a Holiday or a Porzingis caliber player with the assets they have, and that's the difference. Now, if you could turn DG into an all-star, if you get Cat, we're talking a different scenario. Like, that's something I'm much more willing to listen to. But turning Darius into Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith,
That
who are
ain't-
nice 3-and-D guys,
No.
I don't think that raises the ceiling as high as the best version of DG would.
Okay,
And
let's
that- and
roll
that
it
was the
back then.
question.
Let's make some changes at the front line, and let's see what piece you can get for Allen, and because that's the other part of this equation.
And we'll have this question next week with him. So don't
Great.
worry.
No,